Hi, it's Justin here at This Just In. How are you doing? I'm bringing you a video today. Isn't that great? I'm bringing you a video. I'm doing a book tag video. As you probably already know, I probably titled this so that you'd know what you're going to watch. I'm doing the birth year book tag, again, as you know, because you probably read the title before you started watching. So this tag was created by CriminOlly. This is a really great tag. I really like this tag, and I've enjoyed seeing different people's versions of this tag, seeing when people were born and the things, kind of part of their history. It's really a pretty cool tag. I really think this is a great idea. Very nice one, CriminOlly. And I was tagged by Michael K. Vaughn, of course, and then I was also tagged by Juan at Plagued by Visions, of course. Two of my favorite booktubers tagged me. I really appreciate it, guys. I appreciate that you want to know more about me and my history and the year I was born, the dark year of our Lord, 1970. Yes, I was born in 1970. I may look like I was born in 1971. I was born in 1970. And I feel it. Boy, I feel it. I may not look it, but I feel it. I'm at that age where I lift a heavy piece of furniture on a Sunday and I'm still feeling it on a Wednesday. But hey, that's the way things go. I'm still young at heart, right here. That's where it counts. Well, yeah, anyway. So anyway, this is a book tag, and I do have some questions I need to get through. So let's get through them. The first question, the first prompt or question, as it were, have you read any books published in the year you were born? Yes, I have. If so, what's your favorite and why? I've read it seemed like just a few that I read from the year that I was born, but the one that I recall loving quite a bit is, of course, a time travel novel. I've mentioned time travel novels in the past. This one is stuck with me for a while. This is Time and Again by Jack Finney. Jack Finney is the author of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And it is about a man, Simon Morley, who enters into a government program or a government project, sort of a time travel test. The details are a little fuzzy. It's been a while since I read it. But as I recall, the idea is that it's a form of self-hypnosis that's supposed to send someone back in time, and they're put in an environment almost like a movie setting where it is convincing enough that it helps hypnotize and send them back in time. It's just works just as well as any other time travel form, I guess. It's a machine, or it's projecting yourself. I don't know, whatever. That's not the thing that I really latched onto with this. What fascinated me about this novel was its representation of New York City in 1882 and the detail of the personal, or not personal, but like the day-to-day life, how things were. History, and what New York City might have been like to live in during that time period I found really fascinating. There is a mystery as well. Simon has a portion of a letter that was sent from New York City in the year that he goes back to. And in fact, he chose that year to go back to in order to figure out the mystery behind this letter. And I don't remember the mystery as much as I do remember really enjoying the environment and feeling getting appreciation for the historical novel. It's like a time travel historical novel, which I guess in some way many time travel novels are historical novels, but this one embraced it in a way that I found really fascinating. So, and I am due for a reread of it, of course. Time and Again by Jack Finney. It's a book that I like quite a bit. My favorite book from the year that I was born, 1970. Do I have any other favorites? I don't know that I have any favorites. I have some that I read from 1970. Mr. Brown Can Moo, Can You was published in 1970 by Dr. Seuss. I have read that to my children, and I found that indeed I can moo, just like Mr. Brown. No, I'm not going to moo for you. I reserve that for my family. Reading books, family. Mooing is a private affair. Nine Princes in Amber by Roger Zelazny. Again, I read it quite a while ago. Don't remember it very well, but I remember liking it quite a bit. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was also published in 1970. I read that and enjoyed that. I read that in high school. It was one of the books that I had to read in high school. It was one of the ones at the time that I liked more than some of the other books that I read in high school. So those are books published in the year I was born, 1970. If you haven't read any birth year books, which one do you pledge to read in the next 6 months? I don't need to. I've read books from that year. Great, yay me. Okay, on to question number 2. Have you read any books published in the year you turned 18? Why, yes. Yes, indeed, I have. If so, what was your favorite and why? This one was actually pretty easy. I remember being in a bookstore, stumbling across this book and being fascinated by its cover. I picked it up, I read it and loved it, and eagerly awaited the next volume, which took some time to come out. This book is The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams, an epic fantasy novel. It is the first book in a trilogy called Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. I understand it was quite an inspiration for George R.R. Martin and his his still unfinished series. I like this book quite a lot. Getting lost in this world, the world building is fascinating to me. In this book, I like the characters, the adventure, the action. I found this fascinating. There's romance as well. All the stuff that you might appreciate in an epic fantasy novel is there. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's been some time since I've read it. This is not the original copy I had that I stumbled across in 1988. I think I lost that somewhere along the way and picked up this copy not too long ago, actually. I also had a hardcover signed copy of it, but there was this point in my life where I decided I just needed to get rid of everything. I was rejecting the things that I had once loved and thought that was some kind of growth, and so I got rid of things like an autographed first edition hardcover copy of one of my favorite books. So, oh well, that's that. That's a lesson learned, I guess. Let's see, other books from 1988 of interest. I don't know that I've been asked about those, but I'm going to bring them up anyway, because this is my video. So let's see, Matilda by Roald Dahl. I've read to my children. Miss Trunchbull is a legendary villain of children's literature. Silence of the Lambs, I read. I thought it was fine. The movie stuck with me more. Anne Rice, I think it was a third, Queen of the Damned, I think was the third novel in her vampire series. I did not like that novel. I liked the first two, but Queen of the Damned really put me off at the time. I don't remember why. Maybe I was just turning into angry young man Justin, which I was for a little while. Hated everything, and including that book, apparently. Question 3. Of the last 10 books you read, how many were published before you were born? What were they? Did you prefer them to the newer books? For a booktuber, I'm not doing so great a job of reading books or keeping track of them lately. I've spent quite some time, several weeks, if not months, reading Stephen King's The Stand, which I have finished, by the way, and there will be a review video of The Stand coming soon. I hope that it will follow in the same style as my other Stand videos, but I'll have to work on that. This is my break from that and doing a tag video. Anyway, I read The Stand. That is not older than me. The Stand is younger than me. Frankenstein, however, I read. Frankenstein is older than me by a lot, believe it or not. I loved it. I read it. I knew I should read it. Everybody said I should read it. I felt silly for not having read it. Now, I don't feel silly any longer because I love that book. The other book that I read, my past 10 books, I think might have been, that is older than 1970, is The Case Against Satan by Ray Russell, one of those. Published in 1962. I enjoyed that. It wasn't great. It had some flaws, but I enjoyed it. It was a vision of the month, as you might know already. But let's move on. We've talked about books. Now we're going to talk about film. Number 4, question 4. What's your favorite movie from the year you were born and why? Dario Argento's debut film was released in 1970, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. This is a wonderful film, sort of a landmark giallo film, and it launched a pretty great career for Argento. And he can be inconsistent. He's got some iffy films, but he's got some pretty great ones. This isn't my favorite of his, but it's up there. A lot of fascinating cinematography. The cinematographer, I think, went on, what was his name? I didn't put it down here. I'll put it here on the screen somewhere. He would go on to shoot Apocalypse Now and The Last Emperor, both films which look beautiful. And this film is just as beautiful. Every frame in a Dario Argento film is fantastic. The Bird of the Crystal Plumage, I would recommend that. That's probably one of my favorite films from 1970. And another one, this one is very out there. This one is very bizarre. It's not for everybody. El Topo by Alejandro Jodorowsky. It's been a little while since I've seen it. It is a mind trip. It is about, well, it stars the director who also wrote the film. And he is, it's kind of a Western in the desert. And it's violent and strange and surreal and very hard to describe. He's a man in black, and he is traveling through the desert, and he meets these different gunfighters, and it's all there's all this religious imagery, sexual imagery. It's like he's on this path to enlightenment. So there's each gunfighter is different representation of maybe a religion or philosophy, and it's very bizarre, and that I'm not sure I could describe it anymore, but it's fascinating. It's one of these films that I don't get it, but I love watching it. It's strange and fascinating, and one of my favorite films from 1970. So check it out if you're of a mind. It's not for everybody though. Question 5, what's your favorite movie from the year you turned 18 and why? So I turned 18 in 1988. I don't know that I specified that when I was talking about the books from the year I turned 18, but I did. Maybe you did the math already and you figured it out because, I was born 1970 and that's easy addition from the 0 year. So anyway, the year I turned 18 was 1988. Vampire's Kiss is a fantastic, crazy Nicolas Cage film. It is probably one of, if not his absolute craziest performance, which is saying something for Nicolas Cage. It is bonkers, and he is fascinating to watch. I think that's the one where he famously ate a live cockroach. So Vampire's Kiss is a great movie. The Thin Blue Line was released in 1988, a revolutionary documentary directed by Errol Morris. It's a fascinating film, very unique style at the time. I don't think there had been a documentary like it up to that point. Unique style, known narrator to the film. Everything is done through interviews. Hardly any titles or chirons are used in the film. You're not even introduced to people necessarily the way you might expect from a documentary. And it's fascinating, and the camera work is fascinating. There are reenactments of key moments during the crime. It's about a crime. It's about a murder of a policeman and about the man who was convicted. And actually, after the film was released, it ended up the man was freed from prison because he actually had not committed the murder. And the film demonstrated this, and the man ended up being freed. He didn't get his conviction overturned, but he did manage to get released. But it's a fantastic movie. It looks incredible. It's fascinating close-ups of like newsprint to show you different portions of the print and just the texture of the paper. Even like a fascinating shot of popcorn. There's a scene where we're looking at this piece of popcorn, and I'm in awe, just fascinated by looking at this piece of popcorn right up in my face. Anyway, The Thin Blue Line is a great movie. But my favorite movie from 1988, maybe this is kind of basic, I don't know. I love it still. Die Hard, of course. Saw it in the theater in 1988. Of course, it blew me to the back of the movie theater, just like the tagline said it would at the time. I love this movie. It stars Bruce Willis as an action hero who's an everyman. We hadn't really seen an everyman up to that point. It had been, the invincible and perfect, super buff, Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger up to that point. But John McClane, Bruce Willis's John McClane was a flawed character. He was more relatable. This kind of cat and mouse game between him and the villains, and of course Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber. Alan Rickman's this is the performance. This is the role that made him a star. God, how we miss you, Alan Rickman. And this is still his best role as far as I'm concerned. Die Hard action, a very well-crafted plot, very well-crafted screenplay, I think. I love this movie. It's okay, it's not perfect. There's some stuff in there that is questionable and maybe kind of cheesy at points, but you know, it was the 80s. It was great. I still loved it. I watch it every Christmas. So there you go. Die Hard, my favorite movie from the year I turned 18, 1988. So now you know a lot more about me, and that's really a lot of fun to talk about those things. I appreciate having done this tag. I guess somebody said I'm supposed to tag one person for each decade I've been alive. I'm not going to do that. I've seen plenty of people have already covered this. And if they haven't done it by now, they probably aren't going to. And me tagging them isn't going to push them along any further, I'm guessing. So I'm not tagging anybody. But if you know, I'll just get the typical, if you want to do it, do it. Of course, that's always assumed. You don't need me to say that, do ya? All right. So thanks again for watching the video. If you come this far, wow, that's great. I really appreciate you watching. Hope to see you again soon. Thanks. Have a good one.